What is up, everybody? It's Crux here with Crux of Crypto, and we have a red day, unfortunately. I think we're going to turn around. We're already starting to pump just a little bit from at least the daily lows, and I don't think we're going to stop here. Hopefully, we end the day a little bit higher than we are at today, but shout out to you all that are already in chat. I see you, Aaron. You've been actually the first commenter in the last couple streams, so good to see you. Last live stream was so good. We had well over 100 people for over 30 minutes, which is pretty good for my size channel. So we're getting there. I'm trying to be the truth in crypto, y'all. I'm trying to bring the alpha. I'm trying to give you guys different angles in terms of where we can approach how to target these markets. So if this is your first time, I'm Crux. I started this channel earlier this year, and I'm trying to get this channel to about 10,000 followers by the end of this year. So the only way we're going to get there is if you share the word. And yeah, so welcome in if it's your first time. I see Sander, I see Eric Wilds, I see you Scotty, and I also see you Carlton. Thank you for being early, and thank you for showing support. And also check out that poll. The poll is a very interesting question, and if this is your first time seeing a live stream crypto related, there's something called the 4-year cycles, and stay till the end because I'll break it down for you and my take on the current situation that we're in. Also, shout out Kenny G, I see you. Let's go, Gem Hunters. All right. If you haven't noticed, Trump is actually currently live right now, so I've been listening just to see what he's talking about, if it's going to shape the markets in any way. He was talking about like new medications, and he name dropped the old administration and their incompetencies and a couple other things. So expect the markets to be volatile. We have some pretty important people discussing some pretty important things. So, but I don't think right now. I was thinking, should I go ahead and just air this during the live stream? I don't think so, because it's not, at least from what I heard so far, market moving. But expect some volatility. Any one of these people could say something important very soon. So let's go ahead and get to the overall state of the markets. We're sitting, all right, so 3/4 past $3 trillion. So 3,750 in terms of the crypto overall market cap. We're down. We're down about 2.5% overall. Now, something very important to note is within the altcoin space, Bitcoin dominance, according to CoinGecko, is sitting at 57.3%. So Bitcoin dominance is a gauge that I use to see where we're at in terms of us altcoin holders. Now, Bitcoin, it has retraced quite a bit from its 126 high to 108,000, and a lot of people are expecting it to go as low as about 100,000. Now, if we lose the 100K mark, if you listen to Tim Warren's content, he's been covering this pretty important. $100,000 level is very important, and we need to stay above it. There is some people expecting to go as low as 76,000 or even into a bear market. Now, I don't think that's where we're currently headed, but I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you exactly where we're headed, but I can give you the options, and I can lay out what options I'm doing. So moving on to the trending cryptos of the day. And if this is your first time here, I always cover the trending cryptos, and that's how I stay on top of all this. That's how I stay educated in cryptos, because this is the fastest growing asset class of all time. Digital assets are here. They're here to stay. They're getting adopted by governments. They're getting adopted by big money, institutions. We have NASDAQ listed companies. We have a lot of attention that's now focused on cryptocurrencies. So I continue to find out what is trending and then see, do I need to add this to my bag or not? And I'll be honest, most of you should be in the high caps and the low caps. So don't ape into all these little, meme coins or these low cap cryptos that are launching into the space. Millions of cryptos exist now. Last cycle, that was not true. So what we have now is a ton of competition in crypto, and it's a dog eat dog world. So most of the time, your crypto is gonna go to zero realistically. Most of them are gonna, get swept away in the bear market and never come back. So always invest with that in mind. First of all, everything that you invest, expect to lose it in terms of digital currencies like Bitcoin and anything under. Now, from Bitcoin, it gets riskier and riskier and riskier, all the way into the very low caps of the tokens that were created an hour ago that people are already YOLOing money into. So that's my quick little disclaimer for the day. Moving on, we got Chain Opera AI. This is a pretty interesting play. I think it's highly manipulated in terms of the price action. Just check it out. So this is a Binance token. The cool thing about this project is, and I've been very vocal this entire cycle, at least this entire year, AI agents, GPU rendering platforms, and large language models are the way in not just AI and traditional, but are what's bridging and winning in crypto as well. So robotics is not here yet. I think robotics is the next cycle concept, but Chain Opera tackles all three of those. So they haven't yet gone into GPU like rendering, such as like a Render or IONET or Akash, etc. But they already have their large language models. They already have their AI agents, and they're expecting to bridge into that next gap. What I would not do right now is ape into this, because check it out. We're talking about let's actually go to the all-time chart. So back in October 5th, so not even long ago, not even barely past a week ago. Wow, insane. So about 2 weeks ago, we're sitting at sub 100 mil market cap. This thing passed 8 billion. This is clearly manipulation. If you know anything about crypto, that is manipulation. But if you know anything about Virtual's protocol, if you're around in Q3 into Q4 last year, this reminds me a lot of Virtual's. Virtual's went up and right and then up and right, and people were freaking out. They didn't know when to get in. But Virtual's ended up retracing, just like this play retraced here, but then it's continuing to go up. I mean, at this point, I do not bet against Binance. Binance are running the charts right now, and this is their AI exposure right here. We're seeing 4.meme rival Pump Fun. We're seeing Chain Opera rival the Renders, the Taos of the world. They are here. They got Aster that's rivaling Hyperliquid. So I'm not putting all my money in Binance. I think there's a lot of market manipulation going on there, but I wouldn't sleep on this play. Is it in my top 5? Not yet, but I would not be surprised if I move something out the way, because I used to have Fetch in my top 5 and it is no longer there. So moving on, we got Aster. Aster got listed on Robinhood today. I'm very bullish on Aster as a whole. I think this is the direction that crypto is going. And honestly, for a 5-year hold of all the new projects in crypto, Aster has the most potential. Also, I'll be talking about this in my next video. It's going to go out Monday. Usually I drop them on Friday, but this video, I want to actually take a little bit of time. It's going to be 3 different projects that I break down. It's Aster, Uniswap, and Sui, sorry. And I'll talk about all 3 of those projects later, but I get my price targets. Where do I think these projects are going to go in 2026? And Aster is making that list because I think there's a ton of potential of where it's going to go in the future. Hyperliquid, this one is also trending because it got listed. Did this one? Is Hyperliquid? So it was Aster. Because it was Aster, Plasma, and Virtuals that got listed. So Hyperliquid's probably just trending just because, it's probably its price action. Honestly, it's been taking an L to Aster, and then a lot of people want to know why did this insider get so much liquidity on a decentralized platform? That's huge. If anything, that was a selling point. If you're able to handle that type of volume, we're talking about a $500 million short. Hyperliquid is the exchange right now, but Aster is here to start throwing punches back. Plasma, we see this one's trending. Plasma is a stablecoin layer 1 network, and it just got listed on Robinhood today. So Robinhood effect is very real. Do not fade Robinhood. And I know some of y'all might not be happy with the GameStop debacle. Going way back to 2021. Shout out if you were around at that time. There's actually documentaries and movies that are very good at explaining that whole situation. But overall, I'm very bullish on Robinhood because whenever we talk about not so much uneducated people, but people that don't like to put a lot of time into crypto and in investing and just how do I buy Bitcoin quickly? I don't know. Robinhood's a solid option. People understand at least a brokerage and how to attach a banking account to a broker. And at that point, you can easily buy Bitcoin. I think the people that you can trust is whenever you say, all right, take your Bitcoin, put it into cold storage, and don't let anybody see these 12 words. That is not, a reliable option for everybody in the world. So some people are forgetful. Some people, don't even know what a seed phrase is. So if you haven't been in crypto for a while, I would not advise you to jump into cold storage. So, all right. So Zcash trending because of privacy networks. Privacy is doing well. Actually, last Fundamental Fridays, Fundamental Fridays is a session that I do 4 p.m. Eastern Standard. So this time on Friday, it's free in Discord, and I open it up to everybody. So you can come in, ask questions. Usually we'll have over 100 people just, that come and go. And it's really myself giving my takes. And then again, you can come up and give your takes on all of these different things that we're talking about. Anyways, gem hunting is pretty big as of late. And people ask me to find a gem in real time. And I was able to find one called Horizon. So I don't know if you've heard of it. There's 2 of them that I found. Horizon is a privacy network similar to go back here to Zcash. It's been around for multiple bull runs, and it has a huge retracement, and it's finally starting to pump. So if you know anything about crypto, niches pump together, and Zcash is a front runner in this one, and it's starting to make everything else flow up. And then the other gem that I found was Drift Protocol. So Drift Protocol is kind of like the OG perp DEX of the Solana network. So Solana is very hot. I think it was a little early to the punch. So they have betting, they have a couple other things. If you have some Drift, let me know in the comments. It's a pretty solid project. And then join our Discord if you want to hear more about it, and I can break it down for you there. BitTensor, this one's trending because I gave it a dub in my Tau versus Render video. So if you haven't watched that video yet, what are you doing? Check out my video after this. I break down Tau versus Render, and Tau took the dub. And ever since I created that video, Tau has been up and right. PaxG, that's tokenized gold. Gold's at all-time high. Gold is absolutely destroying every other asset class right now. And it just seemed like yesterday that it passed over 4,000 an ounce. We're sitting close to $4.5 thousand for an ounce of gold. So I believe in diversification. I don't think you should sell your Bitcoin and go buy gold. I'll tell you that. Not at this point. What you want to do is buy low, sell high. So if you have gold, I would probably be selling gold and buying either Bitcoin or something, a stock that's taking a hit, or just sitting in cash. So in terms of diversification, I always include cash, because you don't know if a 2008 type event's coming. You don't know if a bear market's coming. So what we want to do is protect ourselves. And the only way we can do that is to be ready for every situation, which includes further pumps for risk on assets such as Bitcoin, further pumps for risk off assets like gold, and then market dumps or market manipulation events. So we got our cash sitting there. So definitely want some exposure to some gold, and the easy way to do it, instead of just hoarding, ounces or bars or whatever of gold or coins, is you just buy the tokenized version that you can then go and lend for 5% APY. So if you didn't know, now you know. So we got Bless, Pump.Fun. Pump.Fun. All right. I want to talk about this one just for a little bit. This chart here is something I've been fighting over for a while now. I did a Pump.Fun versus Bonk breakdown, very similar in nature in terms of kind of like communities and how they run stuff. I chose Bonk over it. Pump.Fun, this thing runs very crazy during bullish periods, and it dumps very harshly during bearish periods. So if you want a little exposure to memes, but you don't know which meme to choose, I don't think this is a bad pickup. As you can see, in the past, month, September 15th, we're sitting at a $3 billion market cap, and we're almost down 66%, sitting just over 1 billion. Am I a big fan of Pump.Fun? I'm not the biggest fan, I'll be honest, but I know what a good chart looks like, and I know when opportunity presents itself. So I'm not going to tell people to fade Pump.Fun right now because the price is low. This is an opportunity if you're not into memes. Again, you don't have to get Doge, you don't have to get Bonk or Whiff or Shib or Brett. Shout out Toshi. I like Toshi. Here you go. There is one to add to your bag. Again, don't hold over 10% of your portfolio in memes. That's just, in my opinion, not very smart. Pudgy Penguins is one that's adequate though. If you want to put 10% or up to like 10% in all the memes, including a Doge, a Sheeb, maybe Pudgy Penguins can make that 10% as well. So solid project. I'm not saying go put 10% of your portfolio in Pudgy Penguins. I'm just saying all of your memes combined, or your NFT plays like Bored Ape Yacht Clubs or something like that, should probably make up 10%. And again, that's not financial advice. This is just me trying to figure out what niches are winning and how do we make money off of that. Next, we got Solana. Not sure why that's trending. Fetch is trending because Ocean Protocol left their network and they're in shambles. The chart is extremely bearish, down 45% in the past month. Do I think? I mean, honestly, I'm still holding mine, so I'm kind of riding this one down. Sitting at about 700 mil market cap. Um, we're getting fairly low to the cycle lows, as you can see. If you don't have another 10%er AI. So if you don't have rendered Tau virtuals, those are my three big ones. There's another one. I mean, the open or chain opera or whatever one I talked about earlier, that's not a bad one. I think that's a pretty solid one that's just now trending. I would just wait for the pullback on that one. But with Fetch, I think a little exposure to this because you do have Ben Gertzel. You have some pretty smart leaders that are still there, but large language models are taking an L right now to Tau. Tau subnets are absolutely insane. It's pretty expensive to run one, but if you could run one, you can get some smart people behind them, you're in business. All right, and let's finish up these trending cryptos and get into our first Q&A segment. We got Linea and XRP. XRP is trending today. I'm going to break down that story here shortly, so I'm not going to waste time on that one. Linea, I couldn't find anything on that one, on Linea. So I'm going to just attribute the trending news to what happened with Swift. So they have a partnership with Swift. They are the makers of MetaMask. So they're basically in there. They have a lot of smart people over there with Linea. All right, I see a lot of people in chat. Retro Mike T, this is the earliest I've seen you to my stream. I think RMT set his alarm specifically to get here because he loves Crux, and who doesn't? I mean, Crux, that dude is killing it. All right, let's start reading some comments. Crimson says, yo, what up, Crimson? Good stream. Hey, our last stream was super fun. If you weren't around, make sure you go check it. I talked about my my story meeting Sin City Crypto with Rob and Dave and at Mike Tyson's place. Crazy party over there in Sin City, Las Vegas. So make sure you go back and check it. I'm time stamped over there. Crux, did you vote? I did vote, and I'll be talking about my vote at the end of the stream. It's all going to zero, says RMT. So Caspa, Bitcoin, Zcash, it's all going to zero. Forget it. Don't get it, says Retro. So Retro's clearly within the polls. He's saying the cycles were headed into bear winter. That is what Mike submitted. Okay, I only believe in the 4-second cycle. All right, he is just trolling at this point. Tom, what up, Tom? Then we got True 49er for life. Hey, I don't know if I should read your comment because it's all about the Cowboys over here. We do not play with the 49ers, but I'll let you make it this time. Let's keep grinding and make some bag. All right, cool. So we're making a pact. You heard it here first. All right, thoughts? Should I keep my render or cut my losses? My current DCA is $7.21. Was thinking good added just to lower the DCA or just cut the losses. So with render, I think render had a ton of potential. Yes, it did lose to my Tau and my one-on-one breakdown, but render is still there at like number 2 in terms of. So first, I mean, in certain areas of number 1. So the team renders number 1. Partnerships renders number 1. And then clearly they got first mover advantage in certain things. I mean, honestly, they're the only GPU rendering platform that's focused on 3D visual graphics. So most of the other networks like an Akash, they're all about just cloud rendering and lending out your GPUs through cloud. So it's a lot different than what Render is trying to do, but I think Render is not only a first mover, but they're in there with some pretty big names. TI, what up, Trade Intuition? Smash the like, the easiest way to show your support. Yeah, appreciate you, TI. I need to come on your show sooner than later. Those cycles are broken as a joke, says B-Ball Golf. Ooh, yeah. Okay, so most of y'all, other than RMT, are saying the cycles are broken. I'm going to continue to let these pile up. I'm not going to read the results just yet. I'm actually wait till the end of the stream when I give my take. But that's a pretty good poll going on. There's a very divided. I'll tell you right now, the cycles are broken, and 2026 will be the cycle peak, are actually tied at 43%. So that's all I'm going to give you. Get in there, help sway those results in whatever fashion you can. Cruxy, you bring the grill. You bring in the grill or the drinks for the boat. All right, username. We have a running joke. Whenever we make it rich, we can start throwing some parties. Myself, username, And then whoever else wants to come, Dallas, Texas, let's go ahead and host it there, at least our first party. And you're all invited. I hear RMT secretly loves Caspa. He does. There's a lot of bot accounts, and I think Retro Mike Tech might actually be controlling some of them. So, all right. Bo says, "What up, Crux? Would you swap your Pepe for Toshi?" Yeah, I think. Oh, that's a good one. I hold both. Toshi is the much lower market cap. Pepe is the ERC20 token. ERC has been somewhat sluggish this cycle due to all the scaling solutions. Toshi technically is a base token, so that is a ERC, an Ethereum base token. I'm giving this one to Toshi. It's listed on less exchanges, and I don't think Toshi. Well, I could be mistaken. I don't think Toshi is listed on Binance yet. I know Bread isn't. I don't know about Toshi. So, the Binance effect is very real. If your token is not listed, it gets listed. A lot of money goes into it. Remember, Binance runs trading volume in crypto. Kenny says Unreal. Drift baby, says Daniel. So we got some drift fanatics in here. I got some drift, says Brian, and I got some drift, says Crux. They are positioning themselves until the end of the year. All right, Joe, I'm not gonna give you my take, but hey, you're on to something. Give me that something and a Charizard. Umbreon, hey, it's all about the top 151 Pokemon. I'll include, was it Togepi? I think Togepi was number 151, or was like he 152, and then you got Mew and then Mewtwo. Those are like the last ones. If you're not in the top 150, I don't know. So you said Umbreon. Is that the blue one? Yeah, and a Charizard. Okay, username. You're just testing my IQ. These are names I haven't said in 2 decades, so try to hang with me. Yeah, I think that is a Generation 1 Pokemon. Brian says, if you were to make a portfolio today to target a 5x, which coins would you look for and hold? Not financial advice. Can be a small amount of coins. Like purely a 5x. Chainlink is going to be one. Ondo. For 5x, I'm going to look for solid projects that have potential, that have a somewhat solid market cap as well. So Chainlink, Ondo, Avalanche, Sui. Chainlink, Ondo, Avalanche, Sui. Let's go Tau. So Tau, I need a little AA exposure. And for the lulz, I'm going with Pepe. So I got to throw a meme coin in there. I think that is a solid 5x portfolio. That's 6 plays. What up, Tradefly? Y'all haven't seen Tradefly? Check him out in chat. He has his own channel. Very smart individual. Him and Trade Intuition, TI. They both have their own channels. Make sure you subscribe. Crux tells you what to buy. These guys, they tell you when to buy. So if you understand charts, or you want to understand charts, those guys have some solid streams to check out. Stop the suppression of the natives. Ooh, okay. No, Toshi is not, says Daniel. Yeah, Daniel is a Toshi fanatic. I like Toshi. Toshi, I'll tell you this. Toshi makes my top 3 meme communities in crypto. I like what they're doing over there. And don't sleep on Base. Their ecosystem is pretty dope. And what I also like about Base is they don't continuously mint all these different meme projects and try to pump them. You got Base, you have Toshi. Those are the 2 clear winners. And then you just let the rest ride or whatever. Those are the 2 winners. Those are the only ones that I'd get exposure to in the Base ecosystem. Would you sell Chain and get hit with taxes, or get more Chainlink at lower prices? It all depends on what's your capital gain. You know, if you sell at a gain, you're going to have to pay taxes. So that's something important going into next year. You know, and I think a lot of people are going to start thinking about, because their altcoins are down, so in their Bitcoin's up. So if I sell my Bitcoin at a profit and I sell my altcoins at a loss, I do not have to pay my taxes if they offset. So that's a good thing about, you know, and I'm not a financial advisor or a tax attorney. So there's actually somebody linked in the description below, Ernest. He understands this a lot more than I do. I've done quite a bit of taxes, my own taxes in the past, and this is just speaking from personal experience. you should be considering things like long-term capital gains or paying taxes. I've paid tens of thousands of dollars within single years, so I've tried to do my best to take advantage of my losses as well. So Toshi is a Pokemon. Bruh, you are absolutely trolling. Trade. Sounds bad without any context. I'm not gonna read that first part. You gonna get Crux canceled? Wait, is there something that I did not read? That a Togepi WTF? Who likes Pokemon that is half hatched? All right, so we're like venturing off. We gotta bring it back in. Bring it back in. Tom Crux, I appreciate all the alpha. Any thoughts on Hash? Province blockchain, 3.2 mil market cap. All right, Tom, let's check it out. Tom is asking about Hash Province. I've actually heard of this before. It's probably going to be a proof of work network with that kind of name, but half province. Sitting at 1.6 bill market cap, so I think you're a little off on that one. Let's look at this thing. Really started moving in August of 2025. I don't see it, like, what is this Explorer? What is this? All right, so it's got to be its own layer one if it doesn't have like Ethereum, real world assets, real world impact. So it's a RWA network, distributed proof of stake. It's proof of stake, not proof of work. Designed to monitor financial. So it's a RWA play. A lot of money in TVL. So RWAs, okay. I'm not gonna look too deep into this because it is fairly new. Remember, RWAs, you want to give these things time to play because this is, whenever you're tokenizing, especially real world assets, the process has to go through regulatory, or has a regulatory framework that it has to abide by. So it can't just print money tomorrow and automatically pump the network. That's something to consider. So real world assets, I will not even look at if they're not at least 6 months old. So this one is August. It's not exactly 6 months. There's potential here, I'll tell you. Now, this reminds me of Plume of early this year. Plume, it pumped, and then it just went sideways for a while, and you just got to wait at that point. You just got to bet on the team, really, with the real-world assets, and hopefully they get the right partnerships and they get the right partnerships. That's going to be your best bet. Now, I think there's enough real-world asset plays that I'm already invested for me, personally, not to get exposure to. I like Plume, I like Ondo, I love Avalanche. So this one, I'm not going to say doesn't have potential, and I'm not going to tell you to sell it either. So I think this one, if you're already, you already have exposure to it, go ahead. But I would not buy this over those three. I would not buy it over Plume, Ondo, or Avalanche. Those are my three favorite RWA plays. And if you consider Chainlink an RWA play, that's something else you can consider. All right, let's continue going. Let's read two more, and then we'll move on to the Virtuals is a great buy. Didn't get the Robinhood. Brian, I don't think anything got the Robinhood pump. If you look at Aster, it did not move. Shout out Aster. I love Aster. It has not moved. And I'm actually break down Aster and why I think it is drastically changing the space right now. You didn't see XPL move, you didn't see Aster move, or you didn't see Virtuals move. So you don't get Robinhood pumps on red days. Unfortunately, they blew their opportunity. They should have listed on a green day, but you never know. Whenever Trump goes in front of a lot of people, the markets are volatile. And I'm pretty sure, let's see. Pretty sure he is still talking. Yes, he is. All right. Well, one more question, like I said. Kita needs the right partnerships. I agree, Daniel. I've covered Kita 3 times. 3 different videos. I did the initial video. I did the mainnet launch. And I also did the roadmap 2.0. So right now, what I'm waiting on. So on the roadmap, they have 4 different things. They have anchors, fiat anchors, how to bridge banks into digital ledger. They have Kita Pay, which is like Cash App or something, connecting Kita to the blockchain, or digital, like your phone to the blockchain. You have a decentralized exchange, which will allow swapping of cryptos. And then lastly, you have the card, Visa card. So now you'll be able to just swipe and boom, you can pay directly from a digital ledger, which is the first time I've heard of happening in crypto, by the way. So they have crypto cards out there that you can pay. But remember, what's really changing through crypto is what's happening in the background. So right now, a lot of times these crypto credit cards or debit cards are just partnerships with banks, and then the banks are still profiting. Remember, crypto, we're trying to get away from the banks at the end of the day. So Kita, they're trying to partner or compete with Visa. I'm pretty sure they're going to partner. So I did talk about like I think they're going to partner because Ty's card is built on the Visa network, but it doesn't mean everybody else's card is going to be built on the Visa network. So Visa, you should be scared because we're starting to get stable coins positioned directly from swiping a card to take it from somebody's digital wallet, which is pretty crazy. All right, I think I said enough there. Let's move on to some news. Here we go. This is the Trump what I was talking about earlier. I thought it was going to be a big day because, and this is why the markets were very volatile to the downside earlier, is because a lot of people said Putin and the Ukraine talks, and there's going to be a talk with Zelensky. These type of macroeconomic conditions right now run the charts, whether it's crypto, traditional finance, or whatever. This is why it's been pretty rough. Now, we've seen that Trump is up there talking about medications and just different stuff. So I think that's why it's cooled off and started pumping a little bit. So just my take. Next, we have Ripple, XRP Army. You got some XRP? Throw up X's in chat. Let's go XRP Army. So Paul Barron, our good friend Paul, pretty soon, I don't know. I might try to get on his channel. Y'all let me know. I'm not there yet in terms of, I mean, I'm probably there in confidence, but clearly my side, like my channel's not big enough. I'm starting to guest on other channels. Shout out Tradefly. He had me as the very first guest. I'm gonna go over there on Trade Intuition channel. Retro Mike, let's get something going. I have a lot of people on channels that I'm about to jump on, but eventually, these are the type of end game goals that I want. Paul Barron, shout out Paul. This is his prediction. Ripple just made a $1 billion move. That is a fact. That happened earlier by acquiring G Treasury. They're not just entering the crypto treasury space. They're bringing XRPL to Fortune 500 teams, managing $1 trillion in capital. If you know anything about XRPL, this is a stablecoin built by Ripple, and it's different in many ways. It's by far the most regulated stablecoin, first of all. They're the ones who got not only Gary fired, but they're the ones who put billions of dollars up to send the SEC into the shadow realm. You know, they are no longer on the monkey on our back. We're able to do everything we want in crypto. Well, not everything, but most of what we want in crypto because XRP gave us the blueprint. So SEC lawsuit for Uniswap dropped. SEC lawsuit for Coinbase dropped. All of them are dropped at this point, and it's because of Ripple. XRLUSD is changing the way that a lot of these institutions are going to see traditional finance rails. So I like to see it. Fortune 500 companies. And one thing to consider is the reason Ripple has done so well is because they haven't shifted their focus. A peer-to-peer network, Satoshi's vision, it's pretty similar. You know, so in terms of, and I'm probably going to get blasted for saying this, in terms of what is more efficient in terms of a technology, XRP is more efficient than Bitcoin, but it's more centralized. It took the trade-off to enhance the ability to scale its network, and that's why XRP is able to do multiple transactions for less than a penny. So now the banks can use it. It's not so much as fair as Bitcoin is, but you need the trade-off to be able to handle some of these other use cases. I think they're doing a phenomenal job. They're not even a top 10 stablecoin yet, RLUSD. So there's still a ton of time to get exposure to this stuff before RLUSD, in my opinion, is going to make the top 3. I could see Tether, USDC, and then RLUSD. Give it by the end of the next cycle. Quote my words. All right. Moving on to the next article. All right, so let's do a quick couple questions because this is going to be a long segment that I'm about to jump into. I want to make sure I get some of those questions. XRP is almost a full percentage of my portfolio. B-Ball, you need to have more than a full percentage, not financial advice. I think I have like 5% of my portfolio in XRP. I'd rather watch you than Paul, to be honest. Dang, all right, let's go. I'm building a fan base here, y'all. And get this, I'm not just building a fan base, we're building a merch shop. So quick little plug. I don't have any money left. I don't know about y'all. I personally don't have any money left. And why? It's because I bought the dip. So I don't know if y'all can see it, but that's what my shirt says. I don't have any money left because I bought the dip. And I think it's a dope shirt. It's in our merch store. Check it out. You see the OG Investing Bros hands on the shirt. So all of our swag has that little logo on there. And I'm proud of what we're doing here. So thank you in the moment for giving us confidence. All right, happy Thursday, gents, says Indy Halo. What up, Indy? We got some more OGs in chat. Aaron, I agree XRP is more beneficial than Bitcoin. Right. It's just a different use case. Different use case completely. Bitcoin does not compete with crypto. I'm absolutely sold on that at this point. Bitcoin is its own thing. All these other cryptos, and I could prove it here. Look at Bitcoin dominance. All of these other cryptos, Solana now has to compete with Sui. Sui now has to compete with Avalanche. Avalanche now has to compete with this, that, and the third. Hyperliquid's doing well. Well, guess what? Aster, here we go. Uniswap was doing well until Hyperliquid came. So it's like, all right, these things are dog eat dog. Bitcoin is just running. Nothing's taken away from Bitcoin. And that's why I think Bitcoin is king. So I'll talk more about that here later. But and one last one, Brian, let's go ahead and read yours. Surprised by those 6 coins. You think coins with 4 bill to 11 bill market cap can 5x? Seems great. I do. Think of this. Solana, November 2021, $10 billion in TVL, sitting at like $80 billion in market cap. So a $10 billion TVL project is worth $80 billion in market cap. Clearly, Solana did not have near as much competition last cycle. But again, some of these projects I'm talking about are sub 5 mil market cap. So all they have to do is get to, 25 mil to hit that 5x. Can Pepe get to 25 mil whenever Doge got to 75 bill market cap? Yes, I think so. I honestly think so. Look at all of this stablecoin volume, or all of these stablecoins sitting on the sidelines. I'm talking about hundreds of billions of dollars in stablecoins, not in crypto. They are not invested yet. They're on the sideline. Gold's at an all-time high, sitting at 3.5. Is it 3.5 or no, 4,500? Close, just under $4,500. Some of that I think is going to go into crypto. So we'll see. But this is the type of stuff that has to come in to break the 4-year cycle. So I'm not going to read any more questions for now because I'm about to get a little long-winded here. This is something I'm be pretty motivated covering this one, right? All right. So this is Crux. Put on your thinking caps here. A lot of this, I want to preface this. A lot of this is going to be speculation. So what happened? This guy here, he says, why don't you list BNB then? Stop with the hypocrisy. He's saying this in a response to Jesse, who created the Base ecosystem. If you know anything about Coinbase, the centralized exchange, they have their own network. It's called Base. And this is the guy who created it. He's saying it should cost 0% to be listed on an exchange. This just opened up a hellstorm in crypto. Why? Because this guy comments and then CZ responds with a little smiley. Think nothing of it, right? Just CZ responding. This is a lot bigger than what it seems. So CZ is finally interacting with Coinbase's team. This is like unheard of. I'm constantly looking through Twitter every day, and this is something I have not seen. So Crux, what is the next step? Well, CZ takes the Twitter and he posts his own thing. This was yesterday morning at like 3 a.m. Central Time, so 5 p.m. or 5 a.m. Eastern, so whenever most of us are waking up. And he just starts talking about what Jesse was talking about. So on the listing fees, blah, 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 blah. So he gives all of his comments. And keep in mind, CZ is one of the most, if not a top 3 most influential person in crypto. So he's way up there, probably the richest person in crypto, honestly. If you look at his BNB and his Bitcoin holdings, we're talking about well over $50 billion in net worth. Forbes just said 80 billion, but he said it's lower than that. This guy has a lot of money. Anyways, he gives his take on this whole sentiment. Then Jesse, go back to him, at an offsite with Coinbase executive team all day. So what's he talking about? All right, so he's going to go ahead and clear it up by saying, what's the one thing we should be thinking about as we head into 2026? So I think it's a little cover up, but we know that he's with the executive team yesterday. And guess what? BNB gets listed. So my take is CZ finally is applying pressure to not only Coinbase, but to crypto as a whole. And if you look at Hyperliquid, they're starting to lose a ton of market share to Aster. So CZ, he creates the biggest centralized exchange ever. Boom, Binance. Binance does extremely well. He comes down, well, he actually has to step down due to legal reasons, which probably will be not expunged, but let go of. I'm sure Trump will pardon him. There we go, that's the word. And then now he's a strategic advisor for Aster. So I think what CZ is doing is he's going to start doing the decentralized approach to what perp dexes are, because he knows that this is something bigger than what Binance can do. So going back into the story, Coinbase finally lists BNB. Keep in mind, BNB is a top 3 cryptocurrency. This thing should have been listed years ago. And this is me kind of breaking it down. Why did Coinbase suddenly list BNB? Why is CZ just now replying to a thread of Jesse after known for not interacting? And then check this. So we all know who Brian Armstrong is. CZ and Brian Armstrong have not interacted publicly on X since 2022. The last time ended with CZ deleting his tweet and Brian replying, "If you see FUD out there, remember, our financials are public." So we saw the biggest mass liquidation event of all, well, yeah, the biggest mass liquidation event. I covered it in a video, $19 billion in shorts. Well, no, it was like 17 billion in shorts, 2 in longs get liquidated for 19 billion, biggest single day crash, October 10th on Friday. Why do we now see Coinbase, which is the biggest Western exchange, with the biggest Eastern exchange now beefing? So this is me trying to continue figuring all this out. Then CZ wakes up this morning and he sees that Kraken jumped into the mix. So Kraken saying, hey, we've been there. We already got you listed. These exchanges, they're starting to talk. And then also Tron, creator Justin Sun, I think they're like the 7th biggest network, if I'm not mistaken. We have some really big names talking about all this stuff. And then, boom, that's the story of the day. Aster gets listed on Robinhood. It's not a big pump, but to me, this is showing Aster's here to play. BNB's here to play. And guess who's not playing? Coinbase. Because Jesse Pollock, Brian Armstrong, they have been AWOL on Twitter. And then CZ is all over the place. CZ is calling people out. He's posting receipts. You know, Aster, he's working with Aster. Let me show you this next message. Right here. So Aster, this is their founder, Alex. He posts Binance inflows are up 4.2 billion, while all other exchanges are down. CZ is doing his strategic advisor role, saying FUD is paying off for the advertising. Users vote with their money, and I agree with them. So a lot of people don't like Binance. I'm starting to like Binance because they're calling out all the hypocrisy that Coinbase is doing, and this is the outcome. Moreover, I would urge Coinbase to list more BNB projects. So, Coinbase, where are you at? He's calling you out. Why isn't Aster on Coinbase? Why are we just now listing BNB? How can I get exposure to 4, 4.meme, all these other tokens that are Binance ecosystem tokens on your biggest competitor platform? So CZ is saying, I'll list yours. I've listed Brett, for example. You start to list mine. So he says it here, Binance has listed several base projects. Don't think Coinbase has listed a single BNB project yet. And it's a more active chain. So we can all agree BNB is the 3rd biggest cryptocurrency, and that's just facts. And this is as a result of this guy breaking down what I just told you. Boom. So what are y'all's thoughts on that whole breakdown? Again, this is Crux the detective going into it. How do you make money from this? What I can see happening, you have Jesse Pollock, you have Brian Armstrong getting called out, you have BNB, which in my opinion was not slated to get listed at all. This was some out of nowhere. This was a lot of heat that came all at once. They list it. And if you think it takes time to list projects onto like a Coinbase roadmap, which is currently where BNB is, so it's not fully purchasable yet on Coinbase, but it's on the roadmap, it doesn't. Useless token, this token launched within like a week. It was already on Coinbase's roadmap. So there's not a very formal process on how to get those coins listed on these roadmaps. But we do know that there's certain projects getting targeted. And for example, Caspa, where you at? Caspa should have been on Coinbase's exchange. It hit 5 bill within its first cycle, but useless. Some random meme coin built on the Bonk launchpad gets thrown into the hottest exchange in the West. I don't know. I cannot wrap my head around a lot of this, but I want to hear y'all's takes because I've been trying to put 2 and 2 together. We got 80 viewers in here, good amount of streams, so a little long-winded there. Brian says, actually, I already read that one. Get those likes up, says Daniel. I agree. Remember to smash those likes, says TI, for sure. They liquidated it. They are listing BNB because Base do not have enough liquidity in it. They need Binance. That could be true. I mean, all of this is stemming from the biggest liquidation event in crypto history. So I think some people got caught with their the tide left shore with your trunks down or whatever. I forgot how the saying goes. You know what I'm talking about. But sometimes you don't want to get caught swimming. Wrong Again says, what's up? What up, Wrong Again? Toggle says, Coinbase listed Cake a few weeks ago. There you go. There's a BNB token on the Coinbase exchange. Now, it's fair to note, Cake is a very interoperable, decentralized exchange. And at this point, most of these dexes, let's go ahead and check it out. Let's swap this one here to DeFi Llama. And let's walk through Cake real quick. And I can almost guarantee you it's going to have some sort of liquidity going into Coinbase's ecosystem. So this one's starting to plump. Shout out Cake. Let's see the chains that they're built on. Information. It's not showing it here. Usually, oh, there we go. So Infinity, Stable Swap, options. They got a lot of different markets. Hang on. Let's just go Binance. So Binance. There's BSC right here. I come down to Cake. Cake should be, all right, it's number 1. It's up here. 9 chains. Let's see what 9 chains those are. All right, Binance. You can see it here. BSC, Base. So it's a Base token. Ethereum, Aptos, ZK, Arbitrum, Linea, Polygon. So I'm not going to consider PancakeSwap being a BNB token. We do know about their ties to BNB because of last bull market. They were like the front runners in how to farm and just massive gains for yield in terms of like just running liquidity pools. But nowadays, like, I don't consider Uniswap like just like some random ERC20 Ethereum token. It's built into all the hottest networks. Same thing with PancakeSwap. So it's close. It's something, but it's not a base token in my opinion. All right, let's move back to some of these Q&As. Indy says, BNB versus coin just feels like China versus America. But at least America has trading regulations, even though they are corrupt as all get out. Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair, Indy. People are going to be most comfortable with what they know. So if their exchange is written in Chinese whenever they sign in, that's what they know. That's what they're comfortable with. And you got to remember, America, we have a very small population. We have, what, 400 billion maybe people in the world out of, that's what, 10%? I could be just completely just throwing numbers out. I think it's like 400 million. Yeah, my bad. So 400 million, we have what, like 4.5 billion people in the world? I don't know, I'm showing my IQ points here, y'all. That's not my buff. But yeah, so East versus West, you have Binance, you have Coinbase. People in the West, we love our Coinbase because it's super simple. We can just throw, attach our bank account, throw money on there, buy something. The fees eat you up, but it's okay. We're used to just taking it, here in the West. In the East, they're trying to, take advantage of a much better system. Binance is way more efficient than what Coinbase offers. Way fairer, in my opinion. There's more manipulation going on, though. I think it's clear to say that Binance is sketchy in terms of what they've done. Honestly, they got caught with their pants down on October 10th. So if you didn't know, over I want to say half a billion dollars, over $500 million is going back towards people who got unjustly liquidated on those events. And it was mainly because of the USDE peg that happened only on their network. So their Oracle issue got exploited. They're going to bring Oracles in a week from today. But they went off of their order book prices and they got caught with their pants down. Somebody exploited it. And that's why in my video, if you haven't seen it yet, check it out. I dropped it yesterday. Yeah, so I dropped it yesterday and explained all this. The insider knows Binance's operations, and the insider also knows Trump's tweets, or when he was going to tweet. So put 2 and 2 together. Gaddafi says, "What up, Crux? Hey, what's good?" We are still waiting on regulation in America. I think our regulation, we're like 70% there. I think we're pretty good. We're off to a good start. Stablecoins is the biggest thing of all of it, honestly. Stablecoins is how we bring liquidity into crypto. So now the banks are able to do a lot more than they could have a year ago, at least. SEC's out of the way. Crypto Task Force is pushing for a stricter, or not a stricter, but a clearer regulation. And then we have people like Cynthia Loomis trying to build a brighter future. So I think here in America, I think we have a very bright future in crypto. And if you didn't pay attention to my last live stream on Tuesday, I talked about a huge event that not many people are talking about. It is the pig butchering scam that America now has access to these Bitcoin. We now have over 330,000 Bitcoin. What does this mean? China is sitting at about 170, if I'm not mistaken. We had 198. So we had about 20,000 more Bitcoin than China going into before yesterday. After yesterday, we have about 330. So we buff our treasury up about 67%. Let's go, America. In terms of this to me is like a space race. It's like we just added a new booster. We're going to get to or let's just say the moon race. We're going to get to the moon first, and it's going to be through Bitcoin. So right now, that's kind of how I see it. That's why I'm super motivated on it. But America, we're doing our thing. As long as we can hold the most Bitcoin, I'm okay. Ethereum, we're already losing that battle to China and North Korea. North Korea has absolutely swept us because of that exploit that happened like 6 months ago to Bybit. I think it was Bybit. I forgot which exchange it was. But yeah, I'm real big into the space race, like the crypto space race. And I think it's important to stay in charge of that. All right, so the government needs to open back us for us to move back into the grid. I haven't even thought of that, Kenny. That's an interesting take. So right now there's a lot of uncertainty in terms of how do military members even get paychecks? Like Donald Trump says he has a wealthy friend that's going to pay the military's paychecks. I don't think that's going to last very long. I don't even know if that's illegal, honestly, but yeah, we got to find a way to open up this country. Last time it was like a month, or maybe it was like a little over a month, and the time before that it was longer. So Donald Trump, he's not playing with you. If you're not like abiding by his rules, he will shut it down. So he's not playing. Thoughts on Caspa not getting listed being a threat to too much of the competition base in BNB, even for other chains too, like ETH being pushed too much by Coinbase. Toggle delay, I think that's a very good take. Whenever I'm an exchange, let's put yourself in CZ's perspective, or put yourself in Brian Armstrong's perspective. You have a centralized exchange. You make money off of trading volume, right? Not a lot of people are trading Caspa. People buy Caspa, but we're not trying to like buy low, sell high. Like we are buying, and we're not letting go of this stuff. I will ride my I bought some Caspa. I think the highest I bought Caspa at is like 11 cents. And I'm ready to ride it all the way to zero. I am not trying to, this is like my forever bag. So I don't treat every other crypto like that. Honestly, there's less than 3 cryptos I can tell you that I'm willing to do that for. And that's based off of conviction. And that's a difference between being an investor and being a believer. So if I want to make money, go ahead, trade it. But most of us in Caspa's community are doing something completely different. And that's why we have the strongest community on X. We have a ton of people when it comes to anything, just, any news being presented. Every single thing, every one of us do not get paid by anything. There is a foundation, but they're not paying us to present information, to break down stuff. For 100% fact, this is the only project at this point that is not paying you. So that's what I love about it. It is Bitcoin 2.0, and I think it's worth having some exposure to. Justice says, afternoon, folks. Late, but we in there. I see you, Justice. Let's get it. Get your push-ups in. If you're going to be late to stream, do some push-ups. Wrong again. That poor Caspa chart says wrong again. Hey, maybe next time we'll be right. So we'll see. These are my personal thoughts on Caspa. It is a first-generation crypto. Well, it's a second-generation crypto for talking about the next decade. I don't know exactly what the metric of generation is, but if we're saying like 2020 and after, second generation, Caspa is not even 4 years old. So it has its birthday in November. Its first cycle, it gets to 5 bill market cap, and then it drops. And it was very uncorrelated. It kind of depegged from Bitcoin. As Bitcoin crashed last year, Caspa pushed up to 22 cents. So there's something wrong. Like, Caspa was not doing its thing. It was on its own mission, right? And the reason it was like that is because insiders were not able to manipulate it, right? So this is what a fair launch project looks like. The only way to get exposure to it is to run your own miner. So this thing's going to look a lot different than Sui. Sui, you get all these insiders. I could put in $20 million. This token launches. Days later, my 20 million is worth 130 million, just days later. So a ton of sell pressure. You have tokens that have infinite supply like Solana. Sui is not, or Caspa is not playing any of those games. It is strictly by the book what Satoshi wanted, and it is fix the trilemma. And I will die on that hill, and I'll ride my bags to zero if I have to. Hopium is a Caspa investing strategy. Would you call it an investing strategy? Or would you call it as, just people that believe, a community that believes? I can guarantee you most of the supply that's owned by people like that owns Caspa, we are firm believers. Like, everybody was weeded out at this point. This thing dropped to 1 cent on October 10th. It was crazy. I wish I bought some. Apparently, Caspa or Kraken wasn't able to handle the transactions. So a lot of people were trying to get onto some of these exchanges. I tried to buy a whole bunch of crypto. Within that 30-minute window the dump happened, Coinbase said Uniswap was $1 more than what CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko were reporting. So a lot of these exchanges couldn't handle the volume. They had the wrong prices. Kraken you couldn't log into. So I just wish I was able to get more Caspa at those prices. Michael says, I don't own Cas. How much cash should I own? Ballpark. So I'll be transparent. I own 200,000 Caspa. I don't plan on owning any more or any less. I'm just going to let this bag ride. And again, I'll ride it to zero if I have to. Also, it's all relative. 200,000 Caspa might be someone's 100% of their portfolio, their value, but it's all relative to what you own. I wouldn't have more than 5% of a portfolio in Caspa. There's just so much uncertainty there. I think the tech is solid. Retro says 2026 or 2027 will be very telling for Caspa. I agree, because the emission schedule, first of all, halves every year as opposed to 4 years. So I think that's where Caspa has bit themselves in the butt. But mining is completely different than how Bitcoin happens. So there's a lot of different processes. The cheaper machines are able to actually compete, which is good. And that's what I like about it. And also, we're willing to mine at a loss. If I have to be the last person in the world mining on a Caspa miner to keep the network alive, that's how strong the community is. Remember, communities are only as strong as your miners. So that's you could just see it on Twitter how strong these people are, how convicted they are rather. Wrong says there's more than one project with great fundamentals and bad price. IOTX. True. There definitely is. There's a lot of projects with great fundamentals and bad price, and that's how we try to get ahead of it. We try to invest in visionaries and tech. So there's also the exact opposite. There's projects that are very good in terms of their market cap, but I'm like, why are people buying this? It makes no sense. Like Bonk, for example, or like some of these meme. So I'm not picking on Bonk. I hold Bonk, but some of these meme coins. I should have said that. Like, why are people buying meme coins like Fartcoin at $2 billion valuations? I think Fartcoin got close to 2 billion, if not higher. Godius Maximus, that thing passed $1 billion market cap. Peanut, Not Fun was printing $1 billion plays. Why? So during parabolic euphoria, people do irrational things. I remember last bull market, I bought Market Cipher, and I'm not, crapping on TA or whatever indicators. I bought Market Cipher like a lifetime, used it twice, and I was done. I bought like a year for, what is that one? Not Token Insights. It was the one with Ian Balani or whatever. Token Metrics. There we go. I spent like $3,000 or whatever, logged in like 2 times. Whenever like you're making a ton of money, you're not used to it, you just start buying stupid things. And that's why meme coins do extremely well whenever we start going parabolic, right? These are things that you can't really see in a chart. It's understanding social sentiment. And that's why meme coins get beat up whenever we dump, because a lot of people get scared and they sell their bags. Michael says, but watching the show has me thinking about buying a little Caspa. Yeah, just remember what I said. I wouldn't have over 5% of my portfolio in Caspa. And I think that's cool. I mean, Caspa, I would treat as a mid cap. So Bitcoin's king. Most of your portfolio should be in like a Bitcoin or a Solana, an XRP. Hell, Dogecoin. Don't sleep on Dogecoin. I love me some Doge. Toggle says, if you take your time to study Caspa, you will become a Caspa lover 100%. If you like crypto Bitcoin, you will 100% like Caspa. That's the best comment of the day. And Retro Mike, you've been commenting all day, but that one was the best comment of the day. And also because if you do your research, you won't have any money. I don't have any money left. It's all in Caspa. So continue to DCA. The lower it goes, the more you buy. Educate yourself on why you're buying so you're convicted and you don't beat yourself up emotionally because you made the wrong decision. Michael S. says, learn how to use Market Cipher. Trust me. Frankie Candles is an awesome YouTuber who could show you. Yeah, Michael. So really all of these platforms I have access to, all the indicators. The reason I don't yet is because in the bear market, I'm going to learn how to trade. I'm going to reach out to RMT. He's going to teach me how to mine. And then I'm going to add that to my repertoire of stuff. I think you guys want to hear about the fundamentals of projects and those gems more than you're going to want to hear about Crux walking you through price action. Now, if you want to hear about price action, let's go ahead into my next segment. This video, I was going to actually drop it Friday. It's actually going out towards Monday. It's because today was a very volatile day, so I had to change a couple things in the direction that I want to go with it. But there's 3 projects. We have Uniswap, we have Aster, and we have Sui. So if you own any one of those projects, hit a 1 in chat. Solana, or no, not Solana, Sui, Aster, or Uniswap. I'll be breaking down where I think they're going to go next year and beyond. So it's pretty dope. You guys know me, I'm not a TA guy, but I'm about to hit this video with much more than just opening a chart and trying to figure stuff out. I'm looking at what is the trading volume? What are the fees like on these exchanges? Who's behind it? Who's pushing it? What's the growth? All of this stuff. So these type of videos, to me, they motivate me. I learn stuff and you guys can learn from it. So smash that like, hit subscribe, and then read up there. Follow on X and join our Discord server. It's free. All right. And if you haven't watched this video, look at Crux. He's pissed off. You see Trump. You see CZ in the background. I gave my take on October 10th, and I'm done with it. My hands are clean. I'm done. I gave my take. I educated the world on what just happened because we just got shambled. But what does it mean from here? Are the markets reset? Is a 4-year cycle broke because of this? These are all valid options going forward. And let's go ahead and give my take, matter of fact, while we're here. So a lot of y'all, this is probably why you tuned in. Let me see if I can up this while I read through it. Yeah, there we go. All right. So time to draw a clear line between Bitcoin's 4-year cycle and crypto 4-year cycles, because there's no longer the same thing. Bitcoin's price action has stayed perfectly in rhythm while it's having cycle, with its having cycle, but altcoins are lagging as competition is heating up. I wouldn't be shocked to see Bitcoin dip below 70,000 as we are currently heading into bear winter, topping out at the $126,000 we were at about 2 weeks ago. It's like clockwork. On the other hand, as ETFs, treasuries, and institutions step in, 2026 could change everything, allowing alts to catch up. Then if that plays out, we're staring down at an alt season unlike anything we've seen before. You don't need to go all in. You don't need to go all out. Just be ready for both incomes. So that's my current take of what the 4-year cycles are. We're right now in the crux of it all. Like, what is happening? We're in Q4 the year after Bitcoin's halving. November is usually the peak. We just see the biggest manipulation event of all time in crypto happen 1 month leading up into the most bearish part. October is the third most bullish month in crypto. November is the first most bullish month in crypto. What's happening? Bitcoin's on its 4-year cycle. If I look at Bitcoin 3 years ago, it was 15.5. And a couple days ago, it was 126,000 2 weeks ago. So you did a 9x in 3 years. There is definitely plausible reason to go into a bear market in accordance with Bitcoin's 4-year cycle. There's a lot of profit taken. On the other hand, we have Fidelity allowing traders to trade, leverage in Q1 next year. We have Avalanche partnering with the most historic month in all of crypto, September. They brought in about like $1 billion worth of investment. They upped their real world asset exposure in September alone by 50%. We have chains that are going parabolic in terms of their partnerships. We have ETFs. We have iBits and ETHs, and now we can actually stake within our 401ks. We have treasuries, NASDAQ listed companies like SUIG. We have NASDAQ listed companies that are getting exposure to Dogecoin. These are shareholders putting their money into cryptocurrencies. It is crazy. And honestly, I'm sitting 50-50. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. Bitcoin's 4-year cycle is intact. I'm not going to lie. Crypto's cycle is not intact. Crypto has depegged. Altcoins, what happened to Chainlink? We had not received an all-time high at $55 back in May of 2021. Solana, I think Solana might have got an all-time high. In terms of market cap or price, it did, clearly. But the other one, it didn't. So even some of the best performing altcoins did not hold up against the last cycle because of the competition. So what I personally think, crypto is dog eat dog. All the altcoins are just fighting amongst each other. Uniswap hasn't played out because of Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid hasn't played out because of Aster. And it's just, that's what it is. And then next cycle, Aster is going to have competition against some random project that launches. So Bitcoin is king. It is the one that does not compete with any of these because the store of wealth narrative only fits the first mover advantage, and only one token can ever be a first mover advantage, and that is Bitcoin. So that's why I tell people your safest risk to reward bet is holding Bitcoin. It's not like you have to ape it into Kita and Caspa and all these other plays. I have exposure to those because it's smart. You can outperform Bitcoin from time to time, but especially if you're not trading it, just be very careful. Don't ape it all into tokens that you're not educated on, and have strong convictions. That's my take. And also, just like I said, you don't have to be all in, don't have to be all out. I have some dry powder on the side in case we go into a bear market. But crux, as for me and my household, we have sold 0 crypto. I've taken no profits. 90% of my bags was bought sub 25K Bitcoin. So I'm ready to round trip some of this stuff. you know, and that's just my take. What would solidify this to me is going into 2026, especially January 2026. Holidays are over. I think at that point we know for certain are the 4-year cycles broken. We have to keep above 100,000. At least a lot. That's what a lot of TA analysts are saying. If we lose 100,000, we're probably going to go down to 73,000 is not even a 70% pullback from its 126,000. But it's probably going to be a good place to accumulate, and we probably won't see another $126,000 Bitcoin for at least 6 months to a year later. So that's going into like Q4 of next year. And just remember, we always get back to the previous all-time high through a bear market much faster each cycle because people buy the dips much quicker now and with more liquidity. So that's a lot to take. And I hope you guys learned a lot from this. I see a lot of ones in chat. We are holding some good projects here, and that's for sure. If I'm telling you, if you're holding these projects that I've been super bullish on and I've been pushing, we're gonna make it. We are gonna make it. So at this point, bags are packed, patience. We just have to wait. It is a waiting game at this point, and just have your options ready. If we go into a bear market, what does it look like for you? The other bull market. Okay, so let's read some. That was a lot, so I want to hear some of y'all's takes. Not broke Crux because of October 10th was already broken, or possibly never actually existed, says B-Ball. All right, so let me explain why. Let's go ahead and pull up the chart. This is why I think Bitcoin's 4-year cycles does in fact exist. It's much easier just putting the numbers on you, but if I just pull the chart out, this is just super simple to explain. Way back here, I mean, my arm won't extend out there. 2013, Bitcoin did like 100 and something X, retraced 86%. 2017, arm almost gets there, right up in there. Bitcoin goes from like $300 all the way up to 20K. So definitely the gains were less, but guess what? Whenever we fell into 2018, we fell 82%. Then 2021, we went from 4,500 up to 69,000, and then we dip into a year-long bear market. FTX collapse happens. We hit here, 15.5. This right here was go for quick math. I think it's like a 22x from 35 to 69. My math's probably off, whatever. So diminishing returns, diminishing losses. 15.5 all the way up to 126K. We're pretty close to I think it was like a 9x, between like an 8.5x. So diminishing returns, guess what? If we go into a bear market, we're going to fall less than the 76% that we fell here. And that's just how crypto works. That's what a 4-year cycle looks like. It's 3 for 3. It's unbeaten at this point. We cannot say this is broke. Bitcoin's 4-year cycle is not broke. Crypto's 4-year cycle can be broke. And that's why in this message, I definitely want to differentiate it. I'll know where it's at. Yeah. In this message, I think it's time to draw a clear line because crypto's doing its own thing. Bitcoin's doing its own thing. And I think it's time to just understand these are two different things. But we'll see. That's my breakdown of that. Let's go back into some Q&A and we'll wrap this up. Crux, how's your S coins? Eric, you just got here, bro. I just spent 75 minutes talking to you guys about S coins. All right, will there be another competitor to Link? Link is, of all niches, by far the clear winner. If you include like a store of value, Bitcoin's the clear winner in that one. But even like the peer-to-peer narrative, I mean, XRP took away the peer-to-peer narrative from Bitcoin. So Bitcoin hasn't even had the best peer-to-peer narrative for a decade at this point. I don't think Pith is going to catch up to Link. Link is just so in bed with a lot of big names and institutions and even governments. So Axelar is a sleeping giant. Does similar things to Link, interoperability play. I mean, we have, so Caspa's doing its own thing over there with the oracles. I'm like with Caspa, Cardano, I like interoperability. A lot of these decentralized networks do not. So I like the chain links. I like the Aves. I like interoperable networks. I think those are two things and a stablecoin. You need to have a stablecoin, an Oracle, and a DeFi play for everything. And you can have all of those without sacrificing your decentralization. So just because we get bring Chainlink onto our network doesn't mean we're going to be super decentralized. But a lot of Casper fanatics, a lot of people in the Cardano ecosystem do. But what's the difference? If you're able to create your own ecosystem, and the biggest part of all of this, adoption. You have to get people to flock over, because no matter how good your technology, look at Sonic, which used to be Phantom. Look at ICP. We have some of the best blockchains, tech-wise, that didn't go anywhere because they didn't get the big partnerships. So as an investment, you always got to remember, you want to follow the smart money and you want to swim with the whales. How much KETA have you bought? So I have like 0.5% of my portfolio in KETA. I'm pretty bullish on it. It's not a low cap. It's not really a mid cap either. But I wouldn't have like over 1% of my portfolio in something like that. But if you have no exposure to KETA, these are some crazy good prices, in my opinion, to begin exposure at. I mean, think about it, like a top 50 richest person in the world, Eric Schmidt. He put $22 million into this thing. And he's only talked publicly about 2 cryptos. Well, no, he's talked publicly about a couple more, including Bitcoin. But he's a strategic advisor for Chainlink. And he's a angel investor in KETA. So if you don't know, he was an ex-CEO of Google. How much? Okay. Love all of the alpha. Excited for Dallas meetup. I'm over in Aledo, says Brian. Yeah, I need to have an East Texas meetup. So, born in Dallas, went to high school in Houston. Shout out Cypress, Cy Falls. Let's get it. Got my first degree at Sam Houston State between Dallas and Houston. So East Texas is my baby. I love East Texas. Texas is the best country to exist. And if you don't know, now you know. Y'all can fade me on that one. Wrong against his Pyth. I agree with you. Pyth is Chainlink's biggest competition. All-time highs by end of Q1 2026 Bitcoin. Let's go, Wrong again. Make your statement. Check out the poll, y'all. Let's go ahead and read these results. All right. 4-year cycles thoughts. We are headed into bear winter. 15% of you said we're headed into bear winter. We got a lot of bulls in here. This has been a fairly bearish stream. You can see the red. I put a little red there, mainly white because I'm pretty neutral where we're at right now. But 48% of you, 2026 will be the cycle's peak. So I'm like 50-50, like Bitcoin's on its 4-year cycle. Crypto's not on its 4-year cycle. Alt season would absolutely destroy the 4-year cycle. If we go into an alt season, if alts start catching up, we're at like 57% Bitcoin dominance on CoinGecko. There's a lot of things showing that alts are way undersold. Chainlink never got to its all-time high. You know, I can go back through the list of tokens. Aave, Uniswap, so many tokens did not get back to their all-time high. Is it because of competition? Or is it because manipulation? So I'm waiting to get the answer on that, but 2026 will be the peak. Half of you guys who voted, which is 111, which would be what, just 60? Well, no, 55. About 55 of you are saying next year will be the peak, and then cycles are broken now would be the next. So that, I mean, if cycles are broken, that is the most bullish of all of this. And honestly, let's go back to my video. You guys are going to love this video. If the cycles are broken, there's a token that exists. I do a thorough breakdown. I'm telling you, check it out. This one drops Monday. I do a thorough breakdown. Altcoin targets, give 3, Sui, Aster, and Uniswap. I think Aster is going to... all right, so I'm not going to give the X. It's crazy, though. And what's going to require, it's at least 5 years. And what I did is I looked at Binance's metrics, the exchange Binance. I compared CZ's baby to his new baby as a strategic advisor to Aster. I looked at the fees. What is Binance 24-hour fees, compared it with Aster's, and it's not too far off for something. And I compared BNB, which is the third biggest cryptocurrency, even though it's a layer one network, it's not just a exchange token, to what Aster is. And just remember, Aster can also do eventually a lot more than just be a perp dex. Aster could one day be its own layer one. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that's going to happen. I can guarantee you with CZ being a strategic advisor. So I compare a ton of the metrics of Binance, the centralized exchange, to Aster, and I think I'm onto something. And it's going to take at least 3 to 5 years. Binance had a massive head start. BNB token has, but I think Aster has top 10 potential. Maybe by the end of the next bull market. We'll see. All right, so I was very long-winded. This is 80 minutes of content so far. Let's see what the views are. Yeah, so 75 viewers. I love you all. We have Michael saying, question of the day, are you scared for the Cowboys' next meeting with the, what is with the G-men? What is the Cowboys' next game? Let's quickly look. Give me 1 second. See who the Cowboys play next. Dallas Cowboys schedule. Sunday, October 19th, we have the Commanders. Yeah, I think we'll take that. I don't know. I'm just like in a crypto bull market. I'm like forever bullish. You know, there's times where it should be bearish in a bull market. I'm Crux. I'm forever bullish in a bull market, and that's because I'm not a trader. I buy good projects and I hold on to them. And then years later, I'll probably sell. We'll see. Texas is the only state that can legally leave the country. Let's go, Kyle. Speak your talk. Let's go. Oh, dang. My wife went to high school in Cyprus. Right. Brian, I went to Cy Falls. Shout out Eagles. Let's get it. There's like Cy Ridge, Cy Fair. There's a lot of other ones, but yeah, it's a small world, brother. Ben Simmons, San Antonio. I was just in San Antonio like a month ago. I went to the Riverwalk and hanged out with the family. Should have sold all my Doge at 40 cents. Only sold a third of it. Michael, you look pretty pissed, bro. You know, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Hindsight's 2020. If anything, this is just something we can learn from. But for me, if the project's good, I'm buying more as it dips. AC is back, y'all. Watch out. Hey, Kansas City. I think Kansas City's gonna pull it off again. Yes, sir. I like Kansas City. I like the Cowboys. I like Kansas City. So, we'll see. The Giants, says Michael. The Giants, man, they got lucky in that first game versus the Cowboys. They got lucky. Not the next game. Next time they play the Giants. Ain't nobody scared of the little Giant. Ooh, RMT, get them. Man, y'all about to start fighting in the comments. And I'll be the referee. I'll make sure nobody gets completely knocked out. All right. That being said, check out our merch store. I don't have any money left. Why? Because I bought the dip. Bought the dip. Not financial advice. You probably should be too. So, that being said, y'all have a blessed week. Going into the weekend. I will catch you guys on Tuesday. Love you all. Be blessed. Peace.